Welcome to the Investor Agent Synergy Podcast, where real estate investors and agents come together to build partnerships, create value, and achieve more together. Whether you're an agent looking to unlock new opportunities or an investor seeking the right partnerships, this is the place to learn, grow, and connect. This podcast is proudly sponsored by New Hampshire Homebuyers, a trusted leader in local house buying since 2017. With over 100 glowing reviews and a commitment to being local, fair, and trusted, New Hampshire Homebuyers helps homeowners throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts sell their homes in any condition. Now, let's dive into the podcast.
Well, welcome to the second episode of Investor Agent Synergy Podcast. Today we have our very first guest. We come right out of the gate swinging with a rock star to start with, Brad Roberts.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me today, guys.
It's our pleasure, man. So happy to have you here. We're going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to put you through the ringer today and just hammer you with questions just like you're like running for the president or something. No, I'm kidding. We want to learn about everything that you do in this space because our goal here is to teach other agents and investors what great synergy there is when those two people collaborate together.
Absolutely. I love it.
All right.
Shelly,
So we'll start off with first things first. What market do you do real estate in? And can you just tell us how long you've been in real estate?
Sure. So I live now in the Lakes region near Lake Winnipesaukee. And I grew up in Raymond in Rockingham County. So I have a bit of a sphere in both sections. I know quite a bit of people in the Lakes region and, quite a bit of people where I grew up. So I do quite a bit between Rockingham County and Southern Lakes region, essentially.
Okay.
Love it.
And what inspired you to get started in real estate, and then what's kept you passionate about it?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny, actually. So I originally started in real estate as being an investor. I started listening to Bigger Pockets podcast, just like most investors. It really inspired me and lit a fire. And I bought my first multifamily. Then I bought another multifamily. And then I was like, why can't I be an agent as well? So I started looking into that, and I found that I'm really good at it. And I find a lot of passion with helping others find financial freedom through real estate. So
love that. That's what we're all about too.
We just love that. I know. What's one milestone or achievement in your career that you're the most proud of? Because it sounds like you've already done a lot.
There's quite a few. I would say it's more around some of the clients that I've helped, to be honest with you. For instance, there's someone I went to school with. I grew up, in a small town, Raymond, and a lot of people weren't very wealthy in that area. So that being said, I helped one of my clients sell her first property and then buy her business.
Wow.
And her business also had a property on it for her to live in. It was like a dream home. Her business is attached to it, her dream business. So everything just worked out. And it was $1 million property. So it's like, it's incredible the steps that I've seen people my age and the things that people have achieved. And that really brings a lot of passion for me, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree. I feel like I always say, like, no matter how many houses that we have acquired or flipped over the years, it's like a lot of my favorite stories are just people that we were able to help. And I was like even surprised in the moment that we were able to bring that to help them through a kind of like hopeless situation and make it work out for everyone.
Absolutely. Like there's been like single moms that, recently went through some sort of situation and they needed a safe place to live. And I can help them find that place and negotiate a deal to make it work for them. So that's been pretty powerful, honestly. So
it's funny because when we look back at all the houses we've done over the years, right? A lot of times you'll say, remember such and such house in a town, and all I can ever think about is the story behind the house, right?
Right.
Not what we sold the house for, how much money we made on the flip, or maybe some before and after stuff, but it's always the situation, the problem we solved getting the house at that time.
That's so true, because we're, when we're creating like blogs and social media and stuff, we'll say to each other, what was that house where the guy did this and the lady was dealing with this? Like, that's how we remember it. Not the name, not the profit, none of that, just what the situation was that we were trying to figure out.
And it seems like you're very passionate about helping people in the community as well.
Right.
Huh?
That's really kind of what drives me, I think. And, just seeing some of my friends and family and people I've been close to, again, find financial freedom through multifamilies or investment properties or whatever it is. And I can help offer some advice through my experiences. So.
Yeah. Well, because you act as an investor yourself as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you do have some experience, and it's pretty awesome that you get to be in an industry where you can provide a lot of value and help others and make some good money doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing quite like it.
So, I know you got right into working in investing, and you are an investor yourself, but have you worked with any other investors, and has that helped you to grow your real estate business?
Oh, absolutely. There's dozens of investors I've worked with over the years. Whether it's a first-time investor, someone buying their first multifamily and doing house hacking, if it's somebody doing a flip, if it's a property that we find off market, if it's wholesaling, I've kind of helped guide people through all different sorts of processes into their investing careers. And then there's the well-rounded experienced investors that I've helped, people do seller financing and stuff like that as well. So there's quite a few different investors that have helped me and I've helped them. And I mean, the idea behind it is, we just help each other out.
Collaboration over competition.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
If you're helping others, they're going to come back around and help you eventually. And it means so much more, honestly.
We talked a lot about that on our first episode,
right?
Thinking a lot of people have like a limited mindset, but really it's an abundance mindset that you have because there's so much opportunity for everybody, right? So we're not, although we're competing against each other for certain deals, agents and investors not so much, but maybe investors against investors, agents against agents, there's plenty of deals for everybody. There's really no reason to compete as much as there is more value to collaborate.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep.
So for people who may not understand, you just threw out a few terms that I'm very savvy with and Shelly's very savvy with, but some of our listeners may not. What is house hacking?
So house hacking is one of my favorites. That's actually how I first got into investing. That's kind of my suggestion is typically your first way into investing. But house hacking is just buying a property and renting out either other rooms or other apartments. So you could buy a multifamily, like a duplex or a 3-unit or a 4-unit, live in one and rent out the others. And those other units will help pay your mortgage. Or you could buy, even technically, house hacking is a single family and renting out your bedrooms. That being said, when you buy a multifamily, it helps with your purchasing power. So it increases, your capabilities of buying different properties. So.
Okay, great. I appreciate that explanation. Now, you mentioned wholesaling. Now, Shelly and I, that's how we started out back in 2017, is wholesaling. And we still wholesale every now and then. But can you explain to people what wholesaling is? So, because you mentioned wholesalers.
Yeah, absolutely. So wholesaling is essentially an investor or a person will go out and try to find a property off market and offer a solution for somebody that may be in like a tight situation or something along those lines where you can buy a property off market from this wholesaler. That being said, the wholesaler makes a few bucks by selling you the property as an investor, but he has you have an opportunity to get it off market and at a good deal.
Yeah, so that's great. Great. All right. So more questions, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
What are some unique advantages agents gain when they partner with investors?
Where do we start?
Tell us.
Honestly, what I've found super helpful is off-market opportunities. There's a lot of agents out there that are just watching the MLS every day, right? And if you're only doing that, you're seeing the properties that every other agent's seeing, and you don't you're helping your clients by looking at those, but you could be helping your clients a step further if you have partnerships with investors who might have something off market. They might be looking to sell something quickly. They don't have the time to put it on the market, something along those lines. So off-market opportunities is really one of the big strategies that I've found helpful for me as an agent as well as my clients. That's really the big one. I'd say.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of agents are definitely missing out on that situation. We talked again a little bit about that in our first episode, where we talked about how agents, come across these opportunities. Sometimes they go on appointments, right? A lead will come in and it doesn't fit the buy box of a typical retail sale, right? But it would work great for people like us, right? Who want to buy houses and invest. And it could be, let's just say it's a hoarding house, right? The house needs a lot of work. There's all kinds of debris in the yard, and everybody's like, what am I going to do with this thing? I can't list this thing, right?
Exactly.
Who's going to want to do a showing here, right? I can't get a traditional retail buyer to buy this. So they kind of walk away from that, but that seller obviously needs some help, and probably don't know a solution. But if an agent knows that, hey, I have a guy for that, as Shelly says, I have a guy, right? An investor that they work with, that investor could come in, provide great value. And now that agent's putting themselves in a position where they can probably double in the commissions on that deal they were going to walk away with.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny because actually that's what happened with the property that I just purchased, a flip that I'm doing. It was a situation where the sellers wanted to get out of the house. They didn't even have a mortgage. So they were pretty flexible with their pricing. They had a realtor come by, and that realtor said that they couldn't sell it the way it was. And again, it was a hoarding situation. Yeah. So then the wholesaler got in touch with them, and I ended up buying it from a wholesaler. Yeah. So,
but if that agent that walked away had known, she could have called her investors that she worked with and made a deal out of that. And we've talked to agents in the past who said, yeah, I've had a lot of those deals over the years, and I just kind of walked away because I didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. So that's why we're really passionate about just connecting and educating as many agents in the area that don't realize that this option is available, and so easy to work with too.
Like, for sure. Right. I mean,
once they have a transaction with us, they're like, oh, that was awesome. Yeah. Now I know next time I come across a house like that, I'm definitely going to call you guys.
You literally closed in 30 days and you did all the stuff that I didn't need to do. And I got to represent the seller as the listing agent and represent you as a buying agent. And I just made $7,000, and all I did was not walk away from the deal. I just called my guy.
And the next deal that we get that doesn't fit our needs or that would be back to that for realtor. The market, we're just going to call that realtor. Yeah, so it's like 100% of those deals that come in are somehow going to be done deals.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? So there's a lot of agents that may say, I don't want my brand or my name associated with those type of houses, right? And that's fair if that's what you want, but you're leaving opportunity on the table, and you also opportunity to help people that need help. Yeah. But with that being said, financially, I mean, let's just say you hit a handful of those a year. I mean, you could be potentially even like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. And all you have to do is just call your local home buying investor who just says, hey, I got a deal for you. Let's make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if the deal doesn't work for that investor, it might work for another investor.
Good point.
They have different, ways of investing and strategizing their deals, and might have different methods on what they plan on doing anyways. Yeah. So,
and with that situation with you, with your flip in Belmont, I think of a couple different things, right? So the agent came in and said, I can't list this house. This doesn't work, right? So they have a limited mindset of, I can't work with this type of house. But on the other end, there's a lot of sellers in those situations who need to sell their house, right? They need to sell the house. They don't want to, they need to. And because they're in a situation where they need a reset button in life. But they think this doesn't work for a realtor, right? So they're not even actively looking for realtors.
Exactly.
They may not even know where to go, and they may just be sitting there waiting for somebody like you or us to go. But sometimes, a lot of times, the first person to reach to those people are realtors.
Right, exactly. And again, that kind of like closes their mindset and closes the seller's mindset of, how am I going to sell this house now? Like, I can't sell it. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in the position I'm in, and it's very upsetting for everybody at that.
Yeah, because nobody wins.
No.
Right.
But if you bring the agent in, brings the deal, the investor comes in and solves the problem, and the seller gets out of that problem, as we always mention, it's a win-win-win, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What more could you ask for? Right. And making money doing it. All right. So what misconceptions do you think agents have about working with investors, and how can they overcome them?
Misconceptions. I think that maybe every investor wants it at a crazy deal, right? That's not always the situation. It might be the right property for them. It might be the right location for them. I think, sometimes agents think that investors only want the house if it's like super below market value. Yeah. And that's not always the case, right? Again, there's different ways to make numbers work. There's different ways for them to make money. They might be looking at a long-term buy and hold and willing to pay market value for a property,
Right.
So I think that's one of the big things.
So not all investors are just a bunch of sleazy guys doing a bunch of lowball offers.
Yeah, and I think another one, honestly, is flippers, right? Yeah. So a lot of the times agents will walk into a house and see, this property that's been recently rehabbed, and they'll just assume that it was done poorly. Yeah. And, flip has kind of a bad stigma to it at this point. So not all flippers are, that person that's going to do things wrong.
Right.
You know, a lot of us put in the time and effort to make sure things are done right. I mean, at the same time, you have the building inspector going through every step of the process.
Slowing things down to a halt. Yes, you do.
Exactly. They want to make sure things are getting done right too. So
and sometimes they're worse than others.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. You make a great point. And I think like, you know, it's not easy to flip a house and to make profit either, right?
No.
So, you know, there is a tough balance there to be like, well, I bought it for X, right? I wish I bought it for Y, but I bought it for X. Again, talking about what we said, maybe I didn't have that low ball offer. I don't like that term, but I didn't get as low as I want, right? Because maybe just because this is what the seller needed, right? And this is a situation. But now as I start to tear the house apart, holy smokes, there's a lot more hiding behind here than I anticipated.
Always.
And that adds up really fast.
Sure does.
And you have to start saying, all right, well, I'm here. The value's here. I got to spend almost all of this and I still need to make money here, right? So it could be tough really to do all that stuff. But the building inspector is definitely keeping things in line. And for anything, I think they're crazy. I mean, they're overboard in a lot of ways, you know?
Sure. So yeah, I've had some really good ones and super easy ones, and I've had other ones that are very challenging. You know,
Depends
and
on the town.
They want the world done. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, you opened up something? Well, you now need to rewire the whole house.
Right.
I just changed the light switch.
Exactly.
But I love those, those misconceptions that you mentioned. I think that's really, really good, especially with the flipping stuff. What do you think makes a great investor-agent relationship?
Collaboration. For one, right? That's the main thing that we're all looking for. Everybody wants to. I think it's best if we all network here, right?
Yeah.
And we're all kind of gathering and networking and putting our minds together to try to help each other out and collaborate. So I think that's really the number one thing that's going to make a good relationship. And then again, if I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of situation. And, I just want to help us all win, right?
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of money for us all to make. You know, there's plenty of opportunity out there, and there's a lot of people out there that need help. And if we're not going to be the people that go out and get it, who's going to do it, right? So
I love that. And I think of like this retail market, right? Slow. And we've seen a lot of the numbers come out lately with the MLS sales. Like, you know, talk about the 80-20 rule, like 20% of the agents have really sold most of the houses nationwide right now, where the other 80%, there's like a number like 70% haven't sold anything in 2024, right? It's a crazy number.
Yeah, I saw that.
And these are people that are missing out on these opportunities, missing out on networking and collaboration and helping sellers off market. If the retail markets are slow because of the interest rates and there's not a lot of opportunity out there, rather than trying to just, I'm going to sell your house for more than the next realtor, there's a lot of opportunities to network with other people in the area, maybe other agents and investors, to sell houses and make money and provide value. And I feel like a lot of them are missing out on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because distress, no matter what the market is, I don't care how slow it is, what the interest rates are, distress is everywhere. It's like a conveyor belt, right? It's always pouring houses out that need to be fixed and renovated and people out of these situations. It never ends. And you and I could buy 100 houses here in New Hampshire in 2025, and there'd probably be another 250 that we didn't even know about.
Exactly. And all those people, all 250 of those, they need help in some way.
Yeah.
So it's they need to get out of the situation that they're in, or whatever it may be. They need help, and we're not there to help them, unfortunately.
And I think working together, we can definitely help them, because it's not a situation of just like, if you're an agent and you don't know what to do with this property and you call us, like, we'll just like take over. We can do that, and we can help in that way if that's what the agent wants. But a lot of the times in the situations we've done, agents have brought us a deal and they said, I don't really know what to do here, but we got to figure something out. And the three of us will get into a room and we'll problem solve it together. Like, we know this is a deal here. This is somehow a deal. What are we going to do to make it work? It's not a question of can it work? It's how can it work? And then we kind of like all work it out together.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I had one of those a couple of years ago, actually. Somebody going into pre-foreclosure, they wanted to get out, but they couldn't afford what the bank wanted, and they couldn't sell it for that. And so we were trying to figure out how to do that. And I actually made a few calls to investors and stuff to try to figure out how to get out of that situation. And one of my investors came up with some sort of plan to be able to get them out of that pre-foreclosure and get the place sold. So,
exactly.
I don't want to go too long-winded on this, but that's basically what happened to me in 2009, you were like, I think still in grade school at this time because you're so young. But I was in my early 30s and the Great Recession happened during that time. And I was learning about real estate investing and I was hoping to get into it at that time. But my world fell apart. I was out of a job. I had equity in my home. And then, a year and a half later, I was upside down $150,000. The Great Recession hit a lot of people hard, and I was one of them. And I was on the brink of foreclosure and bankruptcy, and I didn't really have much of an answer. But I actually reached out to a local investor. His name's Bert Cox. He's up in Concord. He's still around today. He's an older guy, but he came out and he saved me. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be here today. Wow. And he came and short saled my house, allowed me to avoid foreclosure and bankruptcy where, back then, like mortgage companies are like folding left and right. It was weird, volatile time.
Right.
But he saved me. I was able to go into the military and get a reset button in life. And a lot of times that's what we do. And I love that situation. Like, right. Sometimes an agent doesn't have the experience to think of a solution for that problem. But investors are dealing with it so much, they're almost experts in that problem-solving ability.
Absolutely.
And now they can help that person when an agent couldn't. But again, the agent can still capitalize on that as well.
You still get a kickback or something like that, just by making the right phone call to an investor that might have a little bit more knowledge than what you do. So it's absolutely worth it.
Love that story. Great share. All right. So what advice would you give agents who are hesitant or unsure about working with investors?
I think you really just need to go out and network and talk to them. I mean, they're not big and scary like you might think they are. They're all normal people, for the most part. It's just they have a different way of making their business work. Yeah. And they have a different, method to, making their income. So go out and talk to them, find out, the ones that you like, the ones that may work with you, and just network, honestly.
Love it. Great advice. All right. Wrap it up here. What is next for you in your real estate career?
Oh, man. So right now I'm doing a flip. I think we mentioned that property in Belmont that I'm working on. That'll sell soon in the next, we're going to put that up in April, May. And sell that thing. We're still working on it hard. I'm looking at acquiring another flip, so likely do another one here in the next couple months. And I'm really big on the long-term buy and hold. So as soon as I have more capital, I'm going to go find myself another, good long-term buy and hold apartment building or something along those lines.
Love it. And do you think, do you see any investor-agent partnerships playing a role in your future success?
Oh, absolutely. It's a daily occurrence for me. I think that's part of the reason why I'm successful as a realtor. It's part of why I'm successful as an investor. Just having these relationships, making the connections between other realtors and other investors is really the big thing with the collaboration and making yourself successful. So
I love that. And speaking of collaboration, people want to collaborate with you, get to follow you, reach out to you, know you. What's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can reach me out on Facebook or Instagram, or they can get to my email at brad@nhlegacygroup.com. Or they can shoot me a text or give me a call, 603-674-5217. I'm always an open ear. I'm happy to collaborate, to chat, invest, talk, whatever, some advice. I'm happy to help. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being our very first guest on this episode.
Thank you very much. I'm privileged. Awesome. I'm honored, and it's super exciting. So.
All right, that's it for this episode, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Investor Agent Synergy Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share with others who could benefit from stronger partnerships in real estate. And a big thank you to our awesome sponsor, New Hampshire Home Buyers, helping homeowners with fair professional solutions since 2017. For more information about New Hampshire Home Buyers, how they can help you or someone you know, please go visit nhomebuyers.net. Until next time, remember, success in real estate is better together. See you on the next episode of Investor Agent Synergy Podcast.